3 months ago from down there, and he knew Carrie Mae and Evelyn and Gurley and Virginia and Toad and Kinchwater and Evan. He knew all of them. They still living down there.
Now, are they little Granny's brothers and sisters?
No, that's her, their first cousin.
Uh-huh.
See, now Grandma Shepherd, I don't know about Grandpa Shepherd, his family, but Mother, Granny Shepherd, Ida, her name was Ida Shepherd, and his name was Austin.
Did you know that?
And
Listen.
Did you?
Did you hear that?
and with Granny Shepherd, she had Uncle Ward and Uncle George, and I believe that was only 2 brothers that she had, and then she had Aunt Vauday, and Lord, one was a Jarvis. I don't remember her name. And
Do you know what little Granny's mother's maiden name was, Ida's maiden name?
Walter.
Walters?
Waldrop.
W-L-D-R-O-F, I think so.
W-L-D-R. Waldrop.
I've seen that name, that's the reason I said it.
Yeah, Albert. Virginia, they still live down there on Ward. He owned a bunch of land. Well, Uncle Jim Seagull did too. And they still live down there. And Kinch and Evans. And then Evans, he was one of the county commissioners down there in Madison County. I don't know where he is now.
Well, this seed goes in Valdosta too.
Well, Gordon, he used to be in business down there on South Patterson Street in Valdosta. But he died, that fella told me that Gordon was dead.
Do you know how your mother and Daddy met and fell in love, Dad? You just know they did, huh? And then where were you born and what did you do and all when you were a little boy? What year and all were you born?
Well, that old log house that you take the picture of, that's where I was born.
That's a neat little house. I wish they hadn't tore it down.
But Daddy was 35 years old whenever him and Mama married. And Mama was 20. And but Daddy used to have a big black mustache. And he had a top buggy. And he had a fancy looking buggy and horse. And all that that buggy, Bonnie and Neil and me, Mama sent us to Greg's one day. They had an old mule named Mag. Top up on that buggy. Well, there was a hitch rack. Where, you hitch the mule or horse. And well, we went up there to, whatever it was, to swing after. I don't know what it was. That was back, whenever Heck was a puppy.
That was a long time ago.
And, well, we got what we went after. Come out there and got in the buggy. Well, that old mule, shit, that was the hard-headedest mule that ever I seen in my life. Well, we tried to back her up, and she wouldn't back. And she went on that head track to the top of that buggy.
Who got in trouble when you got home?
All of them.
Didn't you tell me one time, Dad, that your parents got married on the back of a buggy?
I won't know names. Yeah, they might have.
I was thinking I'd
They might
heard.
have got married sitting in a buggy.
I was thinking I'd heard that.
That old mule, you could get around her and she was going to step on your foot just to show as you did.
Who's this dog you talking about?
She,
You seem to do a lot of
The
dogs.
heck was the puppy? That's just the same.
she could get it whenever in the spring of the year, whenever grass, you know, would start to grow. Now she was going to feed, you know, and she'd eat that green grass, you know, plow to the end of the row of that grass. And she'd don't eat that grass. You'd be a plowing along, Rick, she'd and fall just like you'd shot her and go to rolling with the belly.
What was it like, Dad, when you were a little boy going to school and all? Did you walk and
We walked.
what did you carry in your lunch and what kind of bad things did you do to the teacher?
Well, we didn't do any bad thing because you'd get your rear end tore up.
At school and at home, huh?
Yeah.
So who your teacher was?
But we went to a one-room schoolhouse, a big, long, it was about, I guess, 20 or 30 feet wide, maybe 50 feet long. And
Hot
you-
air?
there's a door on this side and a door on that side. We lined up and went in. She counted us whenever we went in. It was like a bunch of cows or something.
Afraid y'all would get away from it.
But the little ones sit down at the front and then they'd go back. You'd put the big ones in the back. Well, whenever you got up in the 5th or 6th grade, why, you helped her with them there, and it was in well, it was primer then, you started off, and wasn't no kindergarten. It was, well, you couldn't start until you were 6 years old. Had to have your 6th birthday. It was that way when you started, wasn't it, Lou? And if your birthday, if school started the 1st of September, and your birthday was the 15th of September, you didn't go until the next year. We'd play ball, bullpen, and it had a big old heater, pot-bellied heater. Cold. We walked to school, cold. Get out the side of the house. Right. You just pull off your shoes and stockings and hide. Take off the street, barefoot. And then whenever we come back and had done, we sit down and put on our shoes and stockings and go on the line.
What kind of things did you carry in your lunch to school, Dad?
Well, we carried biscuit, sausage, ham, fried potato, and, you know, whatever, just whatever you had, because you didn't get no light bread.
You didn't carry no little Twinkies, did you?
Well, we'd carry tea cakes, stuff, you know, like that. You didn't have no drink, and nothing but water. Well,
They had soda.
whenever in the wintertime, whatever one carried, it wasn't a fake case to kill calling the pot black, because they all carried about the same thing.
I imagine so.
Because, well, 94 the year, Daddy killed a cow. And he'd cut that meat up in strips, sawed it down, and I had a big old box, about that big square, and salt that meat down. Well, then, he'd stay a day or two, he'd take it out, he'd salt it again, pack it down in there, and he'd do that way, I don't remember how long. Well, then after he'd done that, he'd build a rack out. Well, if it was pretty well, he could carry that beef out there and lay it on that rack and dry it. And then he'd carry it back in the smokehouse and had a rack in there, or either you'd hang it up and smoke it, just like smoking. Well, then, when you got it all dried, you pack it down the box, where it wouldn't get damp or anything. But then you could cut it off, you could cut a piece. Well, it wouldn't be that big. Soak it overnight, or soak it, in water, and you'd have a beefsteak that big and good. That stuff was good. And make the prettiest gravy.
We don't get any of that today, do we?
Well, we growed our own rice for a long, until I was 15 or 16 years old. But we always made all our syrup.
Yeah.
And campground.
All your ancestors were farmers, right?
That's all I wanted to do back then.
Or do
Well, none were blacksmiths or anything like that, though.
No.
Just farmers.
Well, most they were farmer back then was blacksmith.
Oh, really?
That's
Work
right.
on your own equipment?
You done your own. Because where was you gonna go to for somebody to do it?
someday go to my uncle to the blacksmith.
Well, now that was later on
Right.
there in life.
Well, that was in the 20s.
Yeah, 20s, on like that. But
I used to see him there too.
they made their own wagon. And they made, my GrandDad Flowers made his own shoes.
Wow.
And they didn't have tacks or, no, and they put them together with wooden pegs. And they carded the wool, and then made the thread, and then wove it to make their clothes, or the cotton. That night, Daddy said they'd pick out the seed out of the cotton at night. And, rainy weather. They picked them and then card it and make the thread to make their clothes.
My.
They pick that shell.
Hard work back in those days to do anything, wasn't it, Dad?
Yeah.
God, the Indians, in a sense, it was a little further advanced.
Well, if there wasn't no such thing as, well, I'm going to go to the store to buy something, because there wasn't no store to go to. They growed their own tobacco. They grow sweet potatoes, and then let the peas dry, and gather, and butter beans, and all. Whenever they dried, well, then they have them, and then they pole beans, they'd plant them, and they would pick them green and string 'em on a string and hang them up and let them dry. All right, and in the wintertime, they'd take them down and soak them in water and cook them, and you had fresh string beans.
Sounds good. What kind of things did you do after you went to school all day, Dad, and then when you get home? What'd you
Well, in the morning, whenever I got up, I built a fire in the fireplace. And then I got my shoes and clothes on and went to the kitchen and got me a bucket of hot water, a milk bucket, and went to milk pen and the cow pen and milk cows. Well, come back, then eat breakfast, and got ready to go to school. Well, come in the evening, we had to get in wood, stove wood, firewood. We had to feed hogs, we had to tend the cows and feed them, and had to feed the mules and horses.
My goodness.
She likes
Did you get any time to play much, Dad?
When'd you watch TV? When'd you watch TV?
And the Nintendo.
There wasn't even no radio then.
Did your daddy have any little pet name he called your mother, Dad?
He called her Blunt.
Blunt. That's cute. What about her? Did she call him anything? Blunt.
No.
Just Charlie,
Just
huh?
Sir.
Sir.
How many in your family? How many in your family?
There was 5 of us. Little Indians. There was Mel, and Bonnie, Neil, and me, and then Louis.
And you were the cutest and best of them all.
Daddy bought him a bull one time. Cane patch was over the other side of the garden. That bull got over and jumped over in there. And I said, Daddy, Mama told him, said, that bull's out there in that garden. He went out there to open the gate and gonna run him out. Well, that bull, he went run over in the cane patch, taking off down the road cane. Daddy, he rode through over from him, he taken off down the patch. Got down there, come out down there, the end of the bull saying that.
Who was chasing who then?
He went up to the house and got his shotgun and shot the bull and wounded him. He never was no more.
That took care of that.
But him and Dwight and your daddy, Larry was going to shoot the mule.
You told right to tell that.
We brought your daddy up here, was Lori up here or not?
I don't think so.
But Dwight was up here with Daddy and Mama. Dad was flying in the garden. And the old mule, he'd fuss at him all the time. But if he had the shotgun, he'd shoot the old mule. When Mama got the gun to give it to Dwight, told him to go out there, carry it out. Dwight went out they need to go shoot him. What was he said? No hell.
Well, yeah, that was on the news. I told him, I said, here, Granddad, shoot him. He said, I'll get out of here, I'm going to do that. But that was, whenever I was going to shoot, was whenever the pigs got in the field. And he said, shoot him. And there, I know some other curse words, you know, but anyway, he's going, and I'm running down that field, I was going to blast those pigs with that shotgun. I got down there about time to throw that gun up, and I wasn't 9 years old, I guess, and that double barrel shotgun, I wasn't one to stand behind it, you know, unless there was some reason. I was getting ready to stop, and I was right beside the fence, and he said, don't shoot him, shoot over him. And I backed up the old shotgun on a fence post and pulled the trigger, and it went boom over the heads of those pigs, you know, because they went on out. I looked at that fence post, and there was a dent in that thing. I thought, my goodness, if I'd have hit my shoulder, I'd have been flat on the ground.
That's that same old shotgun you got?
Yeah.
I thought you should just say it knocked you down. Tell about when you courted Montana and all that.
Oh, she.
Start with her.
Well, I met your grandmother at a carnival where we met at. And we started going together. And on Saturday night, well, about time, I worked all the other time, about the whole time. We had Saturday and Sunday.
What were you doing, working? In the...
Hauling wood, the motor,
The Swiss.
Swift and Company. See, I'd leave. We lived down there at Morgan. I would come up here, right out, back out yonder, about 8 miles out of town. I'd come from there, down Morgan out there. And I'd leave from down there before daylight in the morning. I'd be up there. I'd have 4 cords of wood loaded up when the sun come up. And I'd make 4 loads a day to mow.
Sure.
And all
He done all the grocery shopping.
16 cords of wood up there a day. And whenever I'd get through up there in the afternoon, it'd be right about sundown. Well, then I'd have to go home down there to Morgan and then eat
Did they tell the water?
and the bathe, you had to bathe in the wash tub and had an outside toilet. Wasn't no inside toilet. You going outside, rain or shine, hot or cold.
Did you have electric light?
Huh?
Have electric light?
No, had kerosene lamp, leaden lamp. You didn't have no electric lights and come in the 40.
So y'all just happened to be at the carnival? Neither one of you were working there or anything? Y'all were just at the carnival?
Tell about
No.
who you running around with.
Huh?
Tell who you run around with.
Peace, no. No, me and Amos Scott. There was carnival down there in Moore. And I went up there in Amos, there where we turned around this afternoon. There, right over in that corner over there, he had a little old store and a filling station. And I went out there, and so me and him, he said, there's a carnival up there in town. I said, let's go up there. And so we went up there for that carnival. But I didn't know none of them girls around Morgan. And he introduced me to Montine. She was up there with her mother, and Gerald, and Zelda, and brother. And they was a dance out in the
Raymond's brother.
out in the country out there. Amos, he asked the Godwin girl to go. Well, we didn't know about the dance. And so he asked the Godwin girl to go with him. She was going with him. And said, let's go to dance. And 19 said, well, you'll have to go and ask my mother. And
Good for her.
I went there and asked Miss Lewis, she mind for 19 going with us out there that day. No, that'd be all right. Don't be, stay out so late. And we went out there that day. And neither one of us danced. But we went out there. That was the way I met her.
Was it love at first sight, Dad?
No. I was playing the field.
I think she was too. Well, how long did y'all know each other before you did get married?
A year.
A year?
But they went around with another couple.
No, long in the fall of the year, September, we got to run around with B. Snow and Mary Peach. And we'd go together. And, but they would, B would come there and pick up. Mary lived out southwest or southeast of more than it, and I lived out the other side. He'd come by there or Montana, there about the old house, there where we stopped. And he'd say, let's go out there and see what Andy's doing. And so it might be, 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Well, he'd come out there and, well, I'd be in and eat. Well, we'd go and get married. And we'd just ride around. And being married, they could really sing. And we'd just ride around, sing, just laughed and cut the fool and had a good time.
Tell me what you did on Saturday night.
On Saturday night, we'd go to Valdosta to the show. We'd come out of the show, we'd go out there, there's an empty store. Right out there in the edge of Valdosta, out there by the hospital. We'd go out there and we'd get us a dozen eggs. 4 Cocoas. And get a pound of wings. And, well, you couldn't get weenie buns, but we'd get light bread. We'd get a little jar of relish. We'd get that. We go out there to the river, and we carried us a gallon syrup can. We'd get out there, and we'd build us up a fire. We'd boil them dozen eggs, and we'd roast them weenies, wrap them up in that bread, and eat it. And drink our Coke that day, and we'd go home.
Yeah.
But that's what we'd do on Saturday night. If it wasn't raining, that's what we'd do. So we could get the dozen eggs for about 15 cents. And, well, it cost us about $1 for all of them.
Wow.
And we'd hide the can out there.
About the time you went somewhere to eat, you didn't have enough money.
Huh?
About the time you went somewhere to eat, you didn't have enough money.
How old were y'all when y'all met?
I was was 21 in July, and we met in the last of January. And she was 18. She'd be 19 in June. We had went down to, that was Louise. Mary wasn't with us. Yes, Mary was. There was Mary, and Louise, and Montine, and Bee, and I. And we went carried Bee's first cousin down there to White Springs. Well, we got back, and there was a restaurant, Carol's, down on South Patterson Street. Well, we stopped and went in there, and well, he knew me and Bee, both of us. So he went out there, and talking to them, and we had, it was about $1 or maybe $1.25 between them.
That wasn't much.
But he come back in there, and he told us that them girls want some hamburger apiece, and a Coke apiece. But whenever he got through telling us what all they wanted, well, they wasn't nothing for me and Bee.
So y'all just watch the girls eat now?
No. He asked how much money you got. I don't know how much I had, but both of us together, it was a little over $1. It was about enough to pay for what they wanted.
Yeah.
He carried us high about that thing. He said, no. He says, each one of them girls wants a hamburger and a Coke. Well, that was 20 cents. 60 cents for them. Well, we could get a hamburger and a Coke thing. Because Coke was a nickel, and you'd get a big old hamburger. It was that big for 15 cents.
Oh my goodness.
So that we got, and
They got by that fast.
we never did tell him what he come back in there and what they had the jam they had.
I bet not. Oh, man. How did you propose to Mom, Dad?
Well, it was kind of this way about it. It was two fools they met, and one knew what the other one wanted to do. So, long at the end, and that was the way it happened. No, it was, me and her, we was by ourselves. And, I don't know which one of us brought it up. But anyway, there wasn't nobody but me and her alone. So we planned, you know, that gonna get married, when we was gonna get married, and all about it, you know. So DJ and Pearl Devane and Doris, well, Pearl and Doris were sisters. Well, Pearl was going with DJ, her husband. Now they live Doris and Evan, well, they wanted all of us, all three of us, you know, to get married at the same time. The three girls planned, you know, that way. So, well, 19, I was running around with being married. And they was going to go with us to get married. So, they said, all right, we'd all go together and go, you know, get married. Well, both of them, they didn't even tell 19 will we go and get married or anything about it. And they went off and got married. About a month, maybe, or 3 weeks before we did. But whenever me and her, we got married, you know, like we had planned. And it was cold and mist, drizzling rain.
What's the date y'all got married?
23rd day of December, 1936.
And you were born when?
1938.
Tell about the bridge and the firecracker the night y'all got married, Dad.
Well, we went out there just like we'd always done. Went out there and got our eggs and weenies and coats. We went there to the river and we cooked. Well, we started home. We had some firecrackers. Me and B had bought some firecrackers. And we stopped on the river bridge. You know, shoot the firecracker. And we'd smoke a cigarette. Well, B had smoked a cigar. And smoked a cigarette, and Montine was lighting one, and we stuck it. Well, this time she stuck that thing to that cigarette. I mean, it busted just like that under her fingernail. Skinned my nose.
Why was your nose
Well,
how bad it was?
Well, I would have had the cigarette, you know, up that way, drawing it, you know, where it'd be, and that thing blowed up.
Wasn't that the same night she wiped her hands on your clothes? You got on to her about
No,
that?
that was way on later. That light was born then.
Oh, no, I don't.
But
I
we
haven't
was
loaded it yet.
out in the yard. I was fixing to go to work. And I don't know whether it was peaches or what. But she wiped her hands in on something. I told her, I said, don't never do that again. I don't wipe my hands on my pants, and you don't wipe your hands on my
And
pants.
boy, when he points his finger and looks at you, I tell you what, he means what he said.
So she didn't wipe her hands on you anymore, Dad?
No.
Well, you didn't tell about getting married.
Huh?
You didn't tell about getting married. Where y'all went and everything.
When we got married, we went by there this afternoon. Old man, J.I. Simmons, the man that married her.
J.I. Simmons.
No, that church we passed?
No, it
Got
was
married
a
out in the
house.
yard.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to get you to tell you.
Big old,
That house I took a picture of?
It's on the road.
the house is tore down now.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
big old brick house there.
It's between where Inez is and
And
Morton.
more on the left there.
Done where you were.
Huh?
So what y'all done? Got out of the car and what was you doing?
What?
When you got married.
We got out and went in.
Thought you got married at the steps or something.
No, we got married, went in the house, 'cause it was a mist and rain and cold. And we went in.
Well, I had you mixed up with somebody else. I was thinking you got married at the gate.
No, we
Then
went
y'all lived with your parents, Dad?
in. Yeah,
That's where Dwight was born? When y'all were living
yeah.
with them then?
And
Mark was
then
still there, right?
we moved out. And before Dwight was born, and was running a filling station over in Barley with Mr. Lewis. And Daddy come over there, well, him and Mom, and Neil and Jewel, and spent the day with him. Now, he wanted us to move back home. Well, there was a house empty there. And so whenever we moved out, Bonnie and Louise, none of them would help us.
That wasn't right.
Take off.
Now, we told them we was gonna move back. They was Bonnie and Louise, Cleo, Montine, and myself. We went to move back. Well, we got back with about lunchtime. So we went in. Mama had dinner big. We went in to eat dinner. After we eat dinner, I told Montine, I said, well, we better go and get this truck unloaded and all and get everything set up. And Dad said, y'all better move back in here. And I said, that house down there, then? Well, we might need that house, and y'all move back in here with us.
Oh my goodness.
So we moved right back in the house
Oh,
with
good. Was Mom happy about that, or did she?
yeah.
Yeah.
Bonnie and Louise was too.
Oh, I bet they helped you get back in, huh? Were y'all expecting Dwight then, Dad?
Yeah, it was, well, that was in December before he was born in, well, it's supposed to be born the 7th or 8th of January, but it was the 7th of February.
Wow. You're a month
You
late.
just lost your license stick, that's all that happened there.
Wow.
But Dr. Flowers, he was the one. He,
Doctor who?
Dr. Flowers.
They said Dr. Flower. Now we have doctors.
Oh, Dr. Flowers, and he come by. After Dwight was born, he'd come by. He, going by, and he'd stop. He'd see about him.
Tell me what your daddy do about the baby.
But
He would tell Mamie what to do.
well,
Why not?
Our bedroom was just like y'all two there are now. Daddy and Mama's bedroom was first, and then mine and Montine. Well, we'd go to bed, and we'd hear Daddy in there tell Mama, say, Mamie, you better go in there and get that young so they'll roll over on you and smother him to death. Mama would go in there, come in there, and he'd get Dwight out of the bed and put him in there with her.
That was a sly way of getting the baby in the bedroom, where they could love him, just like these grandparents would.
Where did y'all put Dwight when you made up the bed during the day, Dad?
They put him in a bureau drawer.
Well, that's exactly where I had him. When our baby was born, I had him in a bureau drawer. We had him in a drawer.
First steps he ever taken. One day, after we'd eat dinner, and me and Montine she was sitting on one side of the dining room, I was over there on the other. And she'd hold him up, get him to walk across, and we kept messing with him till that was the first steps he ever taken. That was 19 last of 1939.
Took your first steps.
No,
That's probably be all right.
Yeah, I'm 400 years old.
Oh.
Could have been 38, because he
Yeah.
was born in February.
Was he a good baby dad? Was he a lot of trouble?
yeah, whenever we
Well,
moved
all
out,
loved him to death.
we moved down there in that house I talked about. He'd get outside, well, the gate, the water's coming down the road, you know, it's kind of down the hill. And the gate, the yard, it was up right in the middle about that high. And he'd get out there and crawl on that gate, start up that road. He's going up there to Daddy and Mom.
Well, your
Yeah,
daddy go
that's-
down there and get him, and get
Yeah.
a diaper stick just popped.
Daddy, well, he went practically everywhere they went. Daddy'd come down there and get him a pocket full of diapers and a handful of crackers and wrap them up in a napkin. Yeah, they'd gone.
Mm-hmm.
He can't.
Daddy said, I reckon, Dwight, I'll be carrying you whenever your feet drags the ground.
What about his hair? Was it pretty and curly then?
Yeah. But, Bonnie and Louise didn't want Monty to cut his hair. He said, he's a boy and I'm going to make him look like a boy, and so she cut his hair.
I don't blame him.
They didn't like it. They both of them, you know, she saved all the hair. And Mama and Bonnie and Louise both, they have, I don't know what they ever done with it.
They might still have it.
How old was he then? It might have been, it burned up in that house when it burned.
But they,
How old was Dwight whenever Mom cut his hair?
he wasn't a year old.
Oh, I thought maybe he was 2 or 3.
Mm-mm. No.
Now, what about when Gloria was born, Dad? Where did y'all live then?
We lived right on, up there where they talked about went to that pig farm.
Mm-hmm.
Right up there, I was deeper ways on the railroad.
You were?
Yeah. No, we live right there by the railroad.
That house is moved.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
tore it down and moved it to some, it was a little red house.
Now, she wasn't as big of a baby as Dwight, was she?
No,
Tell her what your mama said, what Monty said about feeding.
well, she said that she wasn't gonna feed that Glory like Mama did Dwight. And Glory, she never was. Her bowels was always tore up.
She wasn't as healthy as Dwight, was
No.
And still ain't.
She's just dainty.
Right.
Tell about Gloria and Dwight getting in the lard, Dad, when Mom was sitting out on the porch.
She said, no, she had mopped and all, and got through mopping, bathed them, and she bought Gloria a pair of pretty white slippers, you know, for something. And she was outside doing something. I don't remember what I was doing. It was on Saturday afternoon. Anyway, she went in there and had a can of lard in the kitchen. She went in there, they had it slung all up on the walls, all over the floor of their place. So she whipped them and bathed them, washed them, put them to bed.
That was a mess to clean
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Without dinner.
Without dinner.
Well, sundown, Daddy goes down there. As Montine said, where's the children at? She says, I put them to bed. He said, it ain't time for them to go to bed. He says, I'll whip them, put them to bed. And she said, get in there and mop and wash off that grease.
Yeah. Well, I think it had upset her so bad because it was so hard to get new things, and then they came out and had lard all in them, and it never came out. I think she said every time after they get out in the dirt, that dirt would just stick right to the shoes because of them being in the lard. What about the buck y'all used to make, Dad?
We made, now Daddy made corn buck. And she was white. he was about that high. And I come up there and asked him, you want some buck? He liked to have a straw, you know. Daddy had a little 5-gallon green barrel. I think it must have been a pickle barrel or something. But that's what he'd make his corn buck in. Dwight, he liked to go out there, I think he liked to suck a little on that reed and get him a little of it.
What is corn buck?
Whiskey, like corn wine.
It's like beer.
You know corn liquor?
And you get you a little.
Yeah, it's just like a beer, you know, you make it, it's not full, you know, it's not like you make whiskey. You could take that and cook it off and you would have alcohol.
Did any of y'all ever get drunk on it, Dad? Any of the kids?
Now, Daddy got some whiskey and Louise. Well, I was going to Moultrie, and I'd carried Daddy and Mama to Mel and Linda. But Bonnie and Louise and Montine was there. That was before Dwight was born. Daddy had some whiskey. Well, they got in there, and they was going to drink some whiskey. And, well, Louise, she'd tell them, say, now y'all drink this much, and I'll drink this much. She got Bonnie and Montine high.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that was funny, Dad.
Well, one time, man, there's Bonnie and Louise, Cleo, Montine and I. That Mama had made some eggnog. And, well, Louise, she thought that chocolate would be good in there. And so, well, she was the only one, and she fixed her a little bit of it. Oh, it was good with that chocolate. Y'all ought to try it. This stuff is good. It just gives it the best flavor and all.
She was a kid.
So, well, Cleo said, fix me some of Louise if this is good. Well, I never did like chocolate, though. And I wouldn't fool with it. Montine heard Bonnie and Cleo, and it made them sick.
Oh, it did.
That movie was the sweetest thing I ever loved.
We was gone, and Mama always had a bunch of chickens, big bunch of chickens. But cars had a big old rooster, and the car, it hit his head. And but he was out there fluttering and all. So, Louise, what we gonna do with him? And, well, they're gonna throw him away. No, said he ain't hurt nothing but his head. Says, listen, call him and butcher him, and we'll cook him. All right.
What, no different going out in the yard and bringing their eggs?
So they scalded the rooster and kicked the feathers off of him and dressed him, had him dressed, they put him on in a pot and they cooked him though they cooked rooster and rice. Well, had it that night whenever we come in. And, well, we all got set out at the table. Gonna eat. Bonnie and my team, they got them out some rooster and rice. Louis said, y'all gonna kill that old cart, or you gonna eat that old cart killed rooster. But neither one of them would eat.
Car killed rooster. Oh, that sounds like them.
Now that Louise, she was a mess.
Stay a week, and you talk about having a good time, we did laugh, we had a good time.
Cleo staying with us. Well, he stayed with us most of the time. It was in long before Christmas. Oh, well, Mama make butter. And didn't put it in mold, well, half a pound and the thing. Well, we'd eat like ham, to a big baker of biscuits, fry ham or sausage or bacon, and have syrup and biscuit and that and grits. That wasn't very much butter, no less. And Cleo poured him out some syrup. So Louis said, Louis passed me the butter. Says, you gonna eat that old cow sick butter. Cleo, I don't know, he wouldn't eat butter back.
Yeah, sick butter.
All she done it was where she'd eat it,
Yeah.
but he wouldn't.
He didn't want him to get it all. Oh.
They had a good time, they did, how
Whose father was Cleo? Was Cleo's father?
Oh, good.
Okay.
That's really
That's,
Oh,
that's the most curious one of the flowers, is was good.
We'd
I knew
have a time.
that's why they are Cleo and
We
flowers are so
was
curious.
moving one time, our house got burned up. And we lived and had a big old pack house. We lived in here. And so, you know, got a house where we could move in. And, well, Clarence was staying with us. Me and him had the milk. And shoot, we'd go to that cafe and had 6 cows. And we'd come in for morning and night. Each one of us had a big bucket of milk. And, well, we got ready to move. There was that safe full of milk. Well, Mama had skimmed it. So we left it to last. And, well, you know we are in the porch now. Let's see how much milk we can drink.
Oh, gee.
Us folks, Clarence and Bonnie and Louise and myself. Well, it come in that big old blue bowl. Each one got a bowl of that milk, and I remember we was sitting on the doorstep. I drank so darn much of that milk and made me sick. And shoot, well, after I come out of the hospital, that was in 1934, I think. Well, 34, 35.
That's why I couldn't ever
And
drink milk.
last year was the first milk
Yeah.
I drank.
Well, I knew you never liked milk much.
That was the reason that I didn't like
Put
milk.
in the hospital?
Last summer.
That milk
No.
put you in?
No.
Oh, okay,
No,
okay.
when you
No, he
came
hadn't
out.
had any milk
Okay.
since then until
No, you
got out of
didn't.
hospital in
Back
October.
then, that little turpentine and sugar, whatever ailed you, that castor oil, turpentine and sugar, or Williams little pill didn't cure you. There wasn't no cure for it.
Black rock.
Yeah, black rock.
Mm.
Cut your finger off and put it down in kerosene.
I remember so much of that stuff that he's told us the sight in the world. I mean, I come along then too. I used to go out. We did have a good time.
You could take that castor oil, and if you thought you had to go, you better pull your britches down.
That's all right. They give these babies, you know, when they had a bad cold, just a little bit of castor oil with just a tiny drop of turpentine in it. Honey, it just worked every bit of that cold out of that baby.
Can you remember that time, Dad, that Dwight burned the field for you?
Yeah. He was driving when I said he's about to burn the field. Wind was blowing, that fire going. That was 1940,
46, 47, I guess.
46 or 47. Yeah, I had a big...
You're only about 9 or 10.
Yeah, but be fair. Tell them why I did it.
Hmm?
You gotta be fair. Tell them why I did it.
Well, I figured it was going to burn off the field. So,
Yeah, but you didn't know how to start the fire. You'd come in from work at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening and eat and go out and try to burn it, and it was wet. I mean, you got to do it during the daytime when it's dry.
You tried it.
your daddy, there was a creek down below the house, and he'd get low down in holes. Your daddy and Gloria and Wayne Scruggs, they get out there and muddy in that creek, get them fish, and there was moccasins and everything else in there. And bought an old Model A4. Had a good body on it, all the glasses and all. Had it out there on the side of the tobacco bar. They found his wasp nest, a little pecan tree, about that big around. And they busted every glass on that car. It was car was parked right beside that pecan tree, and they found that wasp nest and throwing bricks at it and busted every glass out of it. Well, Wayne was out there, they was out there playing ball. And in the summertime, all the white and Wayne wore was shorts, you know. Wore his shit out long. But they was out, they had a ball, and there was a wasp nest up under the eave of the house. And they got out there throwing that ball. That, you know, I told them, I said, y'all better leave that wasp nest alone, and I'll get it down after a while. I'll take some paper and, you know, the pole, you know, and put it on fire, push it up there and burn it. Now, Uncle Linda, they won't bother. When he throwed that ball up there and hit that thing, ball come down, he stooped over to pick up the ball, was popped him in the back. I don't know what Indian tribe he belonged to. I mean, he hollered. He didn't want no more of them balls.
Wasn't it Wayne that got scared by the dish rag there?
I was somewhere or another. Montine had fed, but they was in there. Sitting at the dining table, and she had went out, come out the dining room, and then the living room, and then right out on the porch. She was sitting out there on the porch smoking a cigarette. Yeah. She said she didn't know how that dishcloth got over that cat or what the cat was doing. But you know, if he goes to that kid, Wayne, he like to have a fit hollering and Gloria right after the cat. Right away. They don't know where my team was at. And she was sitting right out there where she could look right in and see it.
I think she was dying laughing, seeing what was going on.
When did y'all move to Florida?
I went in 1947, and they, in December of 47, and we moved down in February of 48.
Were you working for the Navy then?
I was working for Seminole County.
Oh, really?
Seminole County Road Department.
Talking about the ladies that call me Snookum. The black lady, you get drunk, no one loved her.
Oh, that was Bill and Bonnie. Daddy had some homebrew. No, it wasn't. It was wine. Had some wine. Bill and them, they lived on the place and worked for them. Well, their daddy had died, so to help them out, there was a bunch of the children. Well, Daddy told them for them to milk the cow, and they had to get half of the milk. Well, we had about 10 or 12 cows, it had calves. And they would get about a gallon or more, from them, each one of them. And, well, they'd milk, the cow, and they'd get half the milk. Well, Bill stayed up there a lot with her and Barney. They got in, Louise got them in to the wine, drinking wine. They got high. And, well, Montine wasn't in today. She didn't drink none. I don't know whether she was off for me, but Daddy and Mom was gone. But anyway, we come in, Bobby and Bill was sitting on the old back porch, talking, both of them, high as a Georgia pie. And nobody loved me but Snooky. Then Bill gets talking about that nobody loved him. Loving one another, nobody loves me but Snook. We laughed at them about that.
And Snooky was Dwight.
But make sure you.
But that Louise, what she couldn't get you into.
She was
Now,
the
she was-
instigator.
She would get you into it. One Sunday. There's Bonnie and Louise and Montina and I. Well, Walt Rogers, he made wine, great wine. And Daddy and Mama wasn't there. I don't know what they want. They go over there and get us some of that wine. I said, I'm going over there on Sunday to get none of that wine. Yeah, go over there and get it. And, well, we sat there and kept on. I said, all right, I'll go over there and get it. And I went over there and got a quart jar of wine. And, that got back to the house, walked over there, went across the field, and walked over there. And, but Louise, that was one time, she got high on the wine.
That's where you're some kind of a high, they say too, you get high on wine.
Well, that stuff, you let it set, and it'd be just plumb, it wouldn't be wine if it sat there long. It'd be plumb alcohol, over halfway up that thing.
Well, no wonder you'd get drunk
But
on
you'd shake it up. But Louie, she got high of that. But Daddy's almost, well, I'd say, let's go there, I'll go there and get us some more of that wine. She didn't want them.
I bet she did. She'd about had enough.
She was the cutest person. I really liked her.
You remember about Dwight getting his finger bit with the pig thing?
Yeah. I sat there feeding the hog. He told him not to stick his finger. He was sticking that corn through that way. And he stuck it through. He didn't get his hand back.
Did it hurt?
Y'all didn't give him any stitches, did you, Dad? How'd you fix it?
Put some turpentine on it, wrapped it up.
And sugar?
Well, that's the day that Billy was being born, wasn't it? Dr. Flowers or somebody up there?
Yeah.
Ran me up there?
I carried you up there. Well, Flowers did.
Yeah, I think that.
How did I end up with the name Dwight?
Your Aunt Bonnie and your Aunt Louise named you, if it was a boy, way before you was born. Dwight Wilson Flowers. And that's what they named.
What about Gloria's name?
Montine named her.
Gloria Estelle, is that it?
No,
Gloria
Gloria
Juanita.
Juanita.
Yeah, honey.
And what about Buddy's name?
Well, me and Montine named, see, his name is Charles Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, Dad's name was Charles. It was Mr. Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Lewis Flowers.
How'd he get the nickname of Buddy?
Him and Gloria.
But your dad was named Charles Lewis Flowers. Yeah, it happened that
Yeah.
Granddad was Charles Lewis.
Wow.
Well, now, see,
Right.
Buddy's is Lewis, and Daddy's was Louis.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
See where it would have Montine's
Yeah.
that was good.
Daddy last name, but it'd have Daddy's given.
Yeah, that was good.
Where were y'all when Buddy was born?
We lived out, Buddy was born in the hospital, the only one of them. Born in the hospital, he was born in the hospital in Whitman. But we lived out on that side of Morgan. Then out there on the old hill place, bought it. Mr. Kramer and I bought it. We lived out there.
You remember how Mom surprised you when y'all moved to Florida, Dad, and you came in that afternoon and she had come down there?
Yeah, that was on a Saturday. And I didn't know it. She was down there, and I went in, and there was a baby laying on the bed. That thing scared the fire out of me. It was her and Buddy.
She didn't bring Dwight and Gloria with her that time.
You wasn't glad to see her, was you?
Huh?
You wasn't glad to see her, was you?
Yeah, I was.
Great
Dwight and Gloria stayed with Mom and Daddy, I think. Or Dwight might have stayed there.
And Inez.
Did you stay with Inez or with Daddy and Mom?
I don't remember that.
I'm satisfied it was with Daddy and Mom. So, they the ones that wanted him with them, you know.
Yeah, they would have taken him, I think, just kept him all the time as we could have.
What about the time Gloria got her finger in the socket, Dad?
No, that was Buddy.
Oh, I thought it was Gloria.
No, that was Buddy.
No, that happened out at the, you know where we were heading out? Toward Molly Duckworth or something like that? You know, out there where we turned around on that dirt road?
Yeah.
I got her to stand up on
It's real sore.
a table out there, and she put her finger in there.
So,
That's where we had Granddad Lewis
yeah.
raise that possum.
Yeah. Dwight, your daddy and your granddaddy Lewis, they eat a whole possum.
And you mean I kissed him after that? Whoa.
See what you
Was it
don't
good?
know. What you don't know, don't
Kiss
hurt
of the
you.
possum.
Well,
What's the funniest thing that each one of your kids have done? Or
Oh.
worst thing?
I don't know if they've done lots of fun. They more than many, I don't know.
Ask him who's his favorite child.
Nah, they're all.
They're all favorites, aren't they, Dad?
I can answer it for you.
Well, I think they've been mighty fortunate to have 3 beautiful children. I think y'all were real blessed, and
Yeah.
I think you and Mom had a wonderful life and wonderful children.
Yep.
We
Lots of love.
seen some tough times together, and we seen good times together.
I'm just sorry she didn't have more time to enjoy having her own home and, you know, not having to work and them both retired.
Yeah. I just want to know, were you the one that was responsible, supposed to be to pull out my watch?
Yeah, what?
My watch.
What?
Yeah, out of the fire. Who was responsible?
No, y'all was at home, and your daddy had got your watch, and you was the one. You had all that. We carried it out and burned it.
That was in Brunswick, Aunt Gloria, Uncle Buddy, and all.
You can't
Oh,
you
yeah.
blame Larry. It was Larry's watch, and Larry didn't. He didn't.
Tell how it was when Dwight went overseas to Alaska. You about worried me to death. I thought I was going to have to move out.
Making out like he hadn't heard from and you didn't know when you was going.
Come in. Dad, you hearing the news today? Yeah. You can go. They gonna let them go. She'd be on cloud 9. And
Went
the
to Alaska.
next day, he come in, you hear any news today? No, they done cancel all that.
Did you cry?
I wanted to go.
And
Yeah, he was
next week,
teasing me.
I'd come in and I'd say, well, they gonna let them go.
He's good at that, did you know?
And
Harry?
get her built up, oh boy, I'm gonna get to go and all zip, zip, zip. And I'd come in, no, they don't cancel at all. Oh, they gonna get to see my son.
Oh, I was anxious to go.
Were you saying this?
Yeah.
If you went early, I'd have had a hat.
Yeah, I know. Tell about that hat, Dad. Where that trailer is
Excuse me. Your mother's got pictures of it.
I
But mops over the head.
know. We went trick-or-treating.
That was in
59 or 60.
well, I kept Dean.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't go trick-or-treating with the baby, Dad. I had to have a babysitter.
Anyway, me and Dean, we stayed there, and I was sitting there in the living room reading. I kept smelling something. And I got up and went in there. I couldn't see nothing. The stove wasn't on. I went out there and sat back down, went to reading. Well, Dean was back there asleep. And I kept smelling that, and it got so hot on my hat that it cracked. Oh, it was shining up on the ceiling. That thing was just around the place at the top.
So wonder I didn't burn the trailer down, wasn't it, Dad?
No, it was just smoke. It was one foot
Like
like
it was type that
Well,
pushed
yeah.
up and down.
And
You turn it
well,
down, the blow
it
open
sure
the top,
did
open the
stink,
top.
you know.
What
Burn.
they had on top, and it held the heat rise in it and burnt the hole.
Oh.
You remember the time you got up to go to work and you had set your clock wrong, Dad? Out at the base?
No, I never would set that clock wrong. I never.
Well, you went to work. Something
No,
happened.
that was while I was working with
Mr.
the
Lewis
county.
done that, wasn't he?
No, I had the clock set,
Uh-huh.
but Mr. Lewis,
He was one
he
that-
was down there,
Oh.
and
He got him up.
he got up one morning. He says, "Are you going to work?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to work at work time." "Well, you better get up. You're gonna be late." And I got up. And, well, Montine got up. She got to fix breakfast and fixing my lunch, and I went, just shaved and got dressed, eat breakfast. She fixed my lunch. And I looked at the clock, and, well, we got up at 2 o'clock. And, we went over there to work, and Mr. Lewis went with me, and he's going to bring the car back. And we got there, and Mr. Kramer says, well, no lights on. Well, there were security lights on out there. He asked me, he says, "Hey, Andy, is anything wrong?" I said, "No. Mr. Lewis just brought me to work. He's going to carry the car back." He said, "What time you going to work?" I said, "Well, at work time." He said, "Well, it ain't but 3 o'clock. Went back home, went back to bed. I told him, I said, "I'll never," oh, his watch, it keeps good time. I said, "Yo, that thing may be wrong, but this watch, it's right." But he didn't put no water in. And that was the reason his clock was run down. is what?
You put water in them?
No.
Oh, that was watch I'd never heard of before.
Not any old Swayze don't do that.
They tell me about him coming out from Perry with those turkeys.
He might
Oh,
want
he
to
killed-
the rest of it.
He killed 2 wild turkeys,
Who did that?
Mr. Lewis
Oh.
did. Down there at Perry,
He ain't caught lately, so he ain't go. He's enjoying it.
and he had, you know, taken the entrails and all out, the liver and gizzard and everything, cleaned them out, and put them in his suitcase, wrapped them up in newspaper, put them in his suitcase, and he come Perry, caught the train, little old South Georgia, come home with 2 turkeys in his suitcase. Well, he had sent Troy and Finneganell telegram, Jacksonville, to come up, you know, to our house. Well, Johnny and Inez,
She was still single, I think.
she was ashamed. But anyway, Zeller, all the time, Daddy and Mom. That was the best turkey that I ever eaten. It was moist and sweet. It was good. Okay. But we eat all of that turkey. All of them.
And he brought it in his suitcase.
Yeah.
I'll be. It's pretty
He
good.
was against the law, wasn't he?
Mm-mm.
Oh, he just, that's his way of
Like
writing.
anything in his hair and things.
It down.
You haven't got one yet, did you? Oh.
Tell him that you get it. I think we
So that was just a joke?
Hmm?
So that was just a joke? That story? I believed you. I thought that really happened.
Tell it to
Well,
him again,
yeah.
Dad. Tell it to him again, Dad, how it happened.
Well, it was a one-room schoolhouse, and everybody, the girl, Jenny, sit on one side, and the boys on the other. All right. They would get the long hairs out of a horse's tail and a piece of beeswax. And they'd take the knife and bore a hole through their neck. And they'd put that beeswax on there and scrub it up and down through that hole. And they'd make a racket kind of like a violin or something. And so they was doing that, and the teacher told them, says, at recess, I want all of you children that's got hairs in your drawers, well, they called them drawers, you know, where you put the book, that's got hairs in your drawers, I want you to stay in at recess. Well, just before recess was a little girl, she was about 9 or 10 years old. Well, she went up, they held up her hand. You had to hold up your hand, and the teacher tell you to come up. And they told her to come up there and asked her what it was, and said, teacher says the fuzz count.
Well, tell us about where your dad came from and how him and his brothers come to settle down here.
Now, that was my granddaddy. They come from North Carolina. Over, well, kind of middle North Carolina.
What was his name?
Flowers. They come down here about, I guess, about 1840. And my granddaddy, he settled on this side of the river, and his brother over on the other side. And GrandDad Flowers, whenever the Civil War, well, he had TB, that's what killed him finally. But they conscripted him, and he rode his horse from out there on the other side of Adel to Savannah. And, well, they turned him down for taking his horse. And he walked from Savannah back here.
Wow.
And they wasn't like Waycross and Homerville and all them places. They wasn't nothing but wood. And, you know, long settlement, because used to, whenever people come in here and settled in this country, why, if you got up in the morning and you heard somebody holler, why, if you heard them, why, they said it was time to move, getting too crowded.
Red light. This is supposed to, right? So it's on steady.
But he owned a bunch of land out there in that River Bend district. And after the war, he gave 495 acres of land for a muzzle-loaded shotgun.
My goodness.
And
It must have been a nice shotgun.
back then, there wasn't shotguns like there are today.
Mm-hmm.
But to give that much land for one, that must have been pretty valuable.
Well, there's 245 acres. He'd taken the land deeds and carried them up way back up in there. And a gopher hole, he dig holes, you know, in their home. And he clammed them land deeds down in there and covered them up, keep paying taxes on them. No, you could, Granny said it, sell a big old 4-year-old steer, said you'd get $1 for them. They'd kill them, save the hide, and they'd cook it out. All they wanted was tallow. They didn't want the meat, they wanted tallow. But they grow everything they eat.
Yeah.
The nearest little commissary stage road was over at Albany, and it was that was where the post office was at. And they'd go over there once a year. They'd buy fish hooks, and she had showed us young ones the first matches that she ever seen. They come in a little soloid box. He got 12 matches, she said, come in. And, but they go over there with ox and cart. And if they had anything to sell, you know, they'd go over there and they'd get them a barrel of flour and get fish hooks and needles and stuff like that. And on that cart, and then come back home. That'd be another year before they'd go over there again.
What country did your family come from, Dad, to settle in the United States?
Well, Daddy said that his people come from Germany. Now, when, I don't know. But my Granny Flowers, her people come from Ireland. No, they come from Scotland. And her people was where GrandDad Flowers met her was over there. They was over there at Berlin. The Robertsons were. Well, now one of them was up here at Lemons, and his family still lives right here at Adel and at Lemons. All of them don't live. That old man Ross.
How did your parents meet, Dad?
Well, do you know Drew's wife's name? Drew Flowers' wife's name? Do you know?
What her name was?
Drew Flowers.
Right, your great-grandfather.
Is Drew.
Right, do you know his wife's name?
Yeah. Her name was Martha.
Martha? You don't know her maiden name, do you?
Martha Robertson.
Wow.
That's what you've been on. Makes it funny and everything.
Okay, he's ready for you to tell it now, Dan.
What was that story?
Something about what I had did or what Gloria and I had did or something like that.
I can't remember. My mind done gone blank on it now. But I will tell you, my mother, did I tell you about her brothers? But she had, let's see, there's Uncle Will, Uncle Ernest, and Uncle Vern, Uncle Shelley, Uncle Carter, Uncle Lodie, and Uncle Herman. And she had a sister, Claudia, and a sister Dallas.
Wow.
And I don't know, all of them is dead. I don't know where the Herman is still living or not. The last time I saw him, he was living up in Russellville, Alabama, way up, no, it was Florence, Alabama, way up in the northwest corner of Alabama, like that day, over Birmingham, like that day. And I don't know whether he's still living or not. Now where all their children's at, I don't know. I haven't seen some of them in 60 years. And I don't know how many of them are living or anything.
Why don't you tell about Monteith's family, the ones that are living, and something that happened about them, and then the ones how they, each one of them have died.
Well, I don't know too much about only.
Well, you know when Mr. Lewis died.
Well, Mr. Lewis died in 1954. And Miss Lewis, he y'all's great-grandmother Lewis, she died, Dwight was born in February, and she died in April of 1938. Dwight was just a little over 2 months old whenever she died. But now I knew, I didn't know her brother, but I met two of Miss Lewis's sisters. Well, I think it was only two sisters she had, 11. I met them.
What was her maiden name, Dad?
Miss Lewis
Mhm.
Norton.
Norton.
Now, she was raised over at Cairo, over around Cairo and Pelham and Wigan, Pelham and Meigs, back over in Maine. And Mr. Lewis had a brother named John, had a brother named Wiley, had one named Luther. And if they didn't have no sisters, I think there was 7 boys, but they didn't have no sisters. I forgot. I believe his granddaddy, I believe it was Henry Lewis, I believe it said. His granddaddy, what his name was.
Tell how many sisters, how much your family Montine had, her brothers and sisters.
Well, see,
They always, don't she have one dad?
well, there's 2 or 3 that's dead.
Okay. The one in
Yeah.
Jacksonville,
Well, there was Troy,
he's dead.
and, well, Raymond's dead. And then there's Durrell, there was Inez, and your grandmother, and Zelda. And I know that one was Ardisi, was his name. That he died, and I don't know what the other's name was, or how old it was whenever they died, or anything like that.
And she had some brothers or sisters that died very young.
Oh yeah, they were infants, whenever they died.
That was just the 5. So you were only young too.
But if she wanted us, 19 and I down there, she'd come Saturday morning and get us to go down there and spend the weekend with them. She wanted us down there every weekend. Because I'd help Mr. Lewis in that store and out there, that filling station. She'd want us down there.
They seem to smell a perfume in hand, you knew it. I've been smelling that on people I live.
But your GrandDad Flowers, he smoked a pipe and chewed tobacco. He smoked tobacco. Me and him.
And all of the grandchildren spoke too.
Yeah.
And ate his grapes.
We go, after we moved to Florida, we'd go up there, they'd be Bonnie and Harry, and Beverly and Shirley and Charles, Dwight, Gloria, Bud, and they'd be Marginelle, Joyce, Betty, and Ann, and well, what in the world is that boy's name? I can't. Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
They would be from old John. They'd be from right to the end of his tail. On that old mule. Daddy, Granddaddy, can we ride to old John? No, leave that old mule alone now, it might hurt you. First thing, no, they'd had him out there in the big old China Bear tree in the backyard. And they get him out there, and that old mule left all over him. He wouldn't kick him. Then they'd get back there, pull his tail, get hold of his tail, go up his leg.
Oh my goodness. He must have been pretty gentle.
They had a big grapevine. After we come up there in the fall year, Granddaddy, can we have some grape? No, I don't want y'all out there around that grapevine. Now don't go out there. And it's right out. Just a short way. Vicky, yeah, y'all go out there and watch him reach up there. Don't get up there on that grapevine. It'd be like a bunch of, I don't know what, you'd see heads sticking up all them up there eating grapes. He said, I know it, that ain't this damn young as I ever seen in my life. Well, I'm gonna whip her. Does one of us say that? Oh, don't bother them young's, ain't nothing but young. Let them go. But now he'd beat hell out of them. I know they're the meanest damn hounds that I ever seen. If they was mine, I'd beat hell out of them. But you start to whip one of them. Well, they was good, you know.
He didn't want them whipped.
No. You know, well, like Dwight said, every one of them smoked his pipe.
Yeah.
And I reckon if they wanted to shoot it back, or he'd give them that.
Probably.
Now I heard stories. I just want to see if it's true. Who was your mother's favorite grandchild?
Right there.
Without a doubt?
Let the record show.
There ain't no
Without
doubt.
a
That
doubt.
was Granddaddy too.
Without a doubt. And it's just like I told you a while ago, without a doubt.
I want to know why.
Right there. I
Yeah.
know he loves them all, but there's always one that's a little bit more outstanding
I
than
mean, he's
the
not even my favorite father. My real father, either.
No, that right there has been special to a lot of people. He's special to me because he's been real good to me.
Well, I do a lot of business now in Orlando and stuff. I guess I'm going behind my dad after he's seen some people, and if and they know my dad. I mean, they just, oh wow, he's great and all this, you know, and
Well, that's the kind of example to lead.
I usually get their business just because they know him. I don't have to say much more. Yeah,
Well,
so.
just now, you remember that. You got a little boy coming along, and one day he'll do the same. Right?
Nah.
Gregory will say, now my granddad, that was my
Yeah.
pop, that was Dwight Flowers.
Yeah.
My dad always.
Well, why was I don't know. Why was he so
I'm gonna
special?
tell you, Larry. Do under the other fella.
And then run.
Him to do to you, under you. And try to be truthful with it. And people will tell you, oh, you got to be crooked and everything else. Whenever you start to a little bit of crooked, you get big, 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 big. And that's what them crooked people, you know where they wind up at?
Yeah.
In race.
Same way with telling a lie. Just don't be a liar. Because if you tell
Our
them, you
mother,
gotta tell another
oh,
one, another and another.
she told us, she said, if I find out that you like sugar cane, well, now sugar cane, if you go in somebody else's sugar cane patch and get it and chew it, peel it and chew it, it was a lot better than it was at home. But if she found out that we went in there, she'd tear us up.
Yeah.
She said, if you steal, you store little, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And says it gets so big you can't carry it off and you'll get caught. And that That's the way with anything else. I could have made money with whenever I was working with the Navy.
Sure.
So, yeah, I wouldn't take it. I told him, I said, the Navy's paying me, and if I'm looking for them to pay
Just
me,
anything to wear home.
and what it says for you to do, that you're gonna do. Yeah, I can make plenty of money that way, but I never did do it. I knew some that did, and I knew one that got caught up with.
Right. Well, what's the secret of living as long as you have? Just honoring?
Live a flat, fast life. Old age you can't catch up with. If you're gonna chase women, be sure you're gonna chase one that can run faster than you can where you won't catch them. So if you ever catch one, you're in trouble. Big trouble.
Because you wouldn't know what to do with them.
So you be particular the ones you're gonna chase. And be sure that you can't catch up with.
Who said that? Whose philosophy is that?
That's mine. No, I wouldn't live with your grandmother for going on 47 years. And that was the only woman in my life. Now, I cared about other people, but that was my wife. And I wasn't going to do nothing to her, not that I know this, but I know this. So she was the mother of my children, and my wife. And I wasn't going to do nothing to her.
I don't think you ever did.
She's your guardian angel now.
I've never had a parking ticket. I talked the man out of a speeding ticket.
I think somebody else did too, now.
But that's on, one time they stopped me about my lights. One of my lights was out. I wouldn't stop. And they was down there out in Lake City. That's 475 was dead. Patrolman pulled upside of me and told me to pull over. But it wasn't in no patrol car. And I would. I kept going. And so he pulled upside of me again. Told me to pull over. And I would. Because I had Daddy, Gloria, and Buddy, Montine and I, and it was, way in the night after I got off from work. And my grandmother got off from work in Windy. And I wasn't going to stop down there anymore. So then he turned on the siren. I stopped.
Whoa.
He asked me, says, why didn't you stop whenever I first told you to? I said, you think I'm crazy? Well, my wife and children way out here in these woods, and I'm going to, somebody pull upside of me and tell me to stop, but I'm going to stop. He said, well, I hadn't thought about it that way. He said, I should. I said, I didn't want to scare you. He said, what I wanted to tell you is one of your lights is out on bright, but it was all right on dim, but it wasn't on bright. I told him, I said, I thank you, I'll get it fixed. So that was it. I said, he stopped me then, but it wasn't. He didn't give me no ticket or anything, just stopped me to tell him. Whenever he got me stopped.
I think I've had probably about one ticket or so.
Well, now, I know somebody that I could call the name. He used to get tickets.
Call it, gotta call it, Dad. Call the name.
They was in the glove compartment of the car.
Dad? Dad got a ticket?
Nope.
Parking ticket.
Yeah, several old things.
Tell the dirt. Tell
Yeah,
the dirt.
dirt.
Yeah.
He makes us think he's a saint.
What was it, 50 cents or $1? Go to parking.
Boy.
You remember when y'all were coming down to Florida, Dad, the story about somebody asked Gloria, are y'all moving to Florida?
No, she said they asked her. It was out this side of Pulaski. We stopped to get some gas. And said, where y'all moving, honey? Said, we moving to Florida. I was already way down there in Florida. We moving to Florida. We got down there, that sulfur water. There's a light was going, we want to go back home where we can get some water to drink.
Remember that time you were in the car with Buddy and Mr. Taylor and he called him Glenn?
That young, he wished he knew somebody named Glenn.
You had gotten on to him, hadn't you, for not calling him Mr. Taylor?
He come in and told his mother one day, and says, Mother, I want to change my name. He said, what are you going to change your name? I'm going to change my name to Roy Roy.
That's pretty cute.
Him and that turd.
Yeah.
They'd get down there in that canal, and they would come back muddy, wet all over. And 19. Buddy, where in the world have you been? We was down there in that canal. Well, how come you wet all over? We was down there trying to catch frogs.
Buddy and Turk could get into it. They were cute little boys together.
They'd get out there, and whatever time, summertime it was baseball. Fall it was football.
It was Turk, a friend.
Yeah.
And then they'd play basketball, them and them Buckner girls. Well, you couldn't tell which was the boys and which was the girls. They'd out there playing boys football. They'd tackle them girls.
Well, that's why I say there's something to do besides go on the streets with drugs, isn't it?
Montina tells us, but y'all shouldn't tackle them girls that way. Well, they was both of them bigger than Buddy and Turk and them little old, I forget them little cute girls and boys that lived up there, you know, at the dairy. They up there and them painters, his Jones, they'd all gather down there at the house. And that's where they would play football or baseball or basketball or whatever.